Hey everyone, it's JC Hannigan. I just wanted to make a video today to talk about my debut novel, Collide, and the fact that it is currently free, and talk about what inspired it, because I'm often asked what inspired you to write about a 17-year-old girl who falls in love with her English teacher. The short answer is nothing really inspired me so much as just, we all have hot teachers in class. Well, some of the lucky ones have a hot teacher that you crush on and you're like, oh, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, you're so great. And I just got it in my head that it would be a really good story to have this teacher conflicted over his emotions regarding a certain student of his, just because, attraction happens and it's unexplainable and you know, it's not always at the best time. And so I thought that I would write a book about, a girl who pushes the boundaries a little too much and ends up getting what she wants, but then, there's repercussions for that. And really, this is the first book that I've ever written, start to finish, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and is published. So to me, this is like my number one thing. Like, this is what pushed me to publish books. And you guys are what keeps me publishing books, your responses to them and the fact that you like them and whatnot. So, yeah, I thought that I would read an excerpt from my favorite scene. I apologize in advance. I'm not very good at this whole like video vlogging thing, clearly. And also, I haven't really had coffee, so I'm trying to do both before I have to begin my day. Okay, so favorite scene from Collide is going to happen now, and then I'm going to read you my favorite scene from Consumed, because I meant to do that today and Collide yesterday, but I kind of muffed up on taking the video, so I apologize for that. Now you get a double whammy of Collide and Consumed today, and then Collateral tomorrow. All right, so here we go. In no time at all, I was walking up the steps to the red brick house and tapping firmly on the door. The door opened and Ian Bentley filled the doorway, staring at me. He didn't look the least bit surprised or put out to see me. The chilly October wind was tossing his hair pleasantly. It had grown since the first day of school. He still had a 5 o'clock shadow, too. What are you doing here? Is everything all right? He demanded, sticking his head out outside to look around for anyone pursuing me. I didn't respond. My heart was pounding in my ears. I pushed him back inside and followed him in, closing the door behind me. I'm getting a vibe from you, I said, my heart racing. He looked at me, startled. A vibe? He almost stuttered, drinking me in hungrily. He shook his head, trying to clear his thoughts. He ended up staring at the wall beside me. It's all right. I'm not an idiot. I rolled my eyes, feeling very much like an idiot and desperately hoping that my intuition was right. I know you want me. My voice was steady, although I felt anything but. His mouth opened and closed as he struggled to find something appropriate to say. His eyes shot back to mine and he held my gaze. I could feel the heat in his eyes. I feel like I owe you an explanation, he finally said, his rugged voice low and intense as he continued to look at me. He had taken 3 big steps away from me, but I could feel the heat radiating off him, warming me on this crisp autumn night. For what? I challenged, almost kissing me, even if I wasn't sure that had been his intent, even if I sort of initiated it. For wanting to, Ian amended, seriously, for still wanting to. You were vulnerable and you came to me for help, and I nearly took advantage of that. I'm not that kind of person. No, you didn't. It felt odd that we were finally having this conversation, but it had to happen. I took a step towards him. I was trembling. Trust me, I've been taken advantage of before, and that wasn't even close. I wanted you to. Was that supposed to make me feel better? Because it doesn't, Ian frowned. He shook his head again, seeming to clear his thoughts. I shouldn't feel this way about you, about a student. It's wrong. He seemed to be talking to himself. Feel what? I whispered. Attraction, longing, desire, vulnerability. Ian trailed off, looking torn. He frowned as if he was angry at himself for telling me. I took another step towards him, and he watched me. I feel that way too, I told him. For the first time in a long time, I feel alive, awake. It was another one of those stood still moments. I walked towards him, and he gently grabbed my jacket, pulling me close to him and yet holding me at a distance. He was a good head taller than me, so I had to look up at him. He slowly lowered his face to mine. He didn't kiss me. He just put his forehead against mine and inhaled deeply. I felt his breath cascade across my nose and lips. It smelled minty and fresh, and it warmed me from the inside out. I felt myself thawing out, not realizing how frozen I'd been before. So that's one of my favorite scenes of Ian and Harlow in the Collide series, just because this is the moment where, Ian finally just lets go. Yeah. So Collide is free right now, so click that. And now I'm going to read to you Consumed, my favorite scene from it. Well, one of it. This scene was intense when I was writing it to me, so I hope you enjoy hearing it from me. Hang on 1 minute. All right. I headed straight towards the lecture hall while trying to finish my coffee before I reached its doors. I shoved the empty disposable cup into a nearby garbage pail, my anxiety rising with each step I took. I hated being the last student in a classroom, and judging by the time on the clock tower, I was 20 minutes late. I would undoubtedly be the last student to arrive. I pushed open the doors, wincing slightly as they loudly creaked, announcing my belated arrival. A stern-looking woman in her mid-30s was standing at the podium, her pale hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her piercing gray eyes narrowed in on me. She furrowed her brow, frowning as she showed her displeasure at my disruption of her class. "Sorry," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The lecture hall was massive and it was full of students. My eyes widened as I searched the rows for a vacant seat. I started walking up the stairs, finally spotting one almost at the very back of the far left side of the hall. "I do not like interruptions," Professor Pedersen said rigidly, her voice ringing out sharply against the silence of the hall. I gritted my teeth, feeling thousands of eyes upon me. "If you're late, don't bother coming in. I will be locking the doors. I do not wait around to start my lectures. You need to respect the hours allotted for this course and arrive on time." My face burned with irritation and embarrassment. I kept my head down, allowing my dark hair to fall into my face. I didn't like being called out like that. Normally, I'd toss a smart-ass remark at her, but I'd learned something about university professors. They tolerated a lot less than high school teachers. At the thought of high school teachers, my heart seized momentarily in my chest, as it did every time I thought of him. I absently fingered the necklace that rested on my collarbone before I forced myself into the present, the task of finding a single free seat. I made my way through the lecture hall quickly, apologizing to the people whose legs I had to step over. Relief overcame me as I found a free seat and sank down into it. The hall was overwhelmingly silent. Professor Pedersen refused to continue her lecture until I sat down. Everyone was staring at me, including the professor. Her stern gray eyes finally left my face as she resumed her lecture. "What a bitch," the guy beside me said, his voice low and gruff. I looked up at him, resisting the urge to raise my eyebrows in approval. He was a good head taller than me, even while sitting down. He had long, dark brown hair that reached just past his shoulders and brown eyes with an intense ring of gold encasing the pupils. He had a slight dusting of facial hair across his jaw, as if shaving hadn't been on his list of priorities. He was clearly in excellent shape, his prominent muscles showcased by the simple black t-shirt he wore. I drank in his defined forearms, following the entire length of his body. My head kept focusing on the word defined. Defined was one way to describe him. I raised my green eyes to his face, pausing on his thick lips and sweeping across his strong features. He looked like a Viking, or even a barbarian. I had to admit to myself I was impressed with what I saw, and I didn't normally like guys who had better hair than me. He wore a grin as I studied him. His smile suggested that he knew what I was thinking. He extended a large hand, offering it to me. "My name is Jax. Harlow," I said, shaking his hand while I resisted the urge to smile. "Pretty name," he remarked, his white teeth flashing as he smiled at me widely. "If you two are done talking, I'd like to resume my lecture." Professor Pedersen voice snapped across the lecture hall like a sharp whip, drawing the eyes of my peers back to me. "Sorry about that." Jack's grin was even wider. He waved his hand, motioning for her to continue. The professor's lips were pursed in a thin line as she continued on. It was hard to focus on anything that Professor Pedersen was saying. I knew that Jax was staring at me. The seats in the lecture hall were close to one another, separated by thin armrests. Jack's arm rested on his armrest, a mere inches away from my arm. I felt the tingles of his nearness. He was electrically charged, and my body responded without my permission. All right, so that's one of my favorite scenes of Jackson Harlow. Tomorrow I will do another video reading one of my favorite scenes from Collateral. And again, all the books are on sale right now. Collide is free, and Collateral and Consumed are 99 cents each. I will drop the links in with this video here that I'm going to post without watching, because I know if I watch it, I'm going to not want to post it. So cheers to Thursday, and thank you for all your birthday wishes and shares and whatnot. You guys made my day yesterday, and you're making it today, so thank you. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate just everything that you have done. The reading, the reviewing, just everything. Thank you so much. And I hope you all have a good day today. All right, bye.